The following video is entirely based on interviews and stories reported by other media outlets, which we collect and curate in an attempt to provide one coherent and well-rounded history piece from the world of professional wrestling.
Support WrestleTalk!
Follow us on Twitter. There have been many unusual gimmicks in WWE, from woken Matt Hardy to Perry Saturn's infatuation with a mop, but few are as frankly bizarre as Goldust. The flamboyant, sexually ambiguous gimmick is one that has remained popular in the WWE since its inception, but it hasn't all been plain sailing for Goldie. I'm El Fakador Laurie Blake, and this is the real reason why Goldust was fired in 2012. Between 2011 and 2012, Goldust, real name Dustin Runnels, was working as a backstage producer for WWE. For those who don't know, the role of a producer, among other things, is to book matches and agree on spots in those matches, therefore making it an incredibly important role in making shows work to time with decent matches. Because of this, if something goes wrong during a match, it's often not the wrestler who gets the heat or the blame, and instead, it's whoever booked the match. Case in point, in a match for a May 2012 episode of Friday Night SmackDown that really says a lot about the WWE roster in 2012, the primetime players of Titus O'Neil and Darren Young squared off against Yoshi Tatsu and Ezekiel Jackson. So O'Neil and Young had been booked to win, and Goldust had gone to the men before the match to tell them that they'd be finishing with O'Neil picking Yoshi up for a powerbomb before Young jumps off the top rope to clothesline Tatsu off of Titus O'Neil's shoulders. It didn't go to plan. O'Neil couldn't manage to get Yoshi up, and by the time Young had jumped for the clothesline, it was too late to remedy the move. Yoshi landed on the back of his head, and according to fans who were there, it looks 10 times worse in person than it did on screen. And given the fact that head injuries are so carefully monitored in WWE, since everyone who ever took a chair shot in the 90s started suing them, this was a big no-no for Vincent McMahon and the WWE. So Goldust was gone from the company a few days later, and this spot is said to have been a major reason behind it. WWE didn't officially announce the news, but simply moved his profile on WWE.com from the current roster to the alumni page. Just sort of the job equivalent to setting your relationship status to "it's complicated" without telling your girlfriend. Dave Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer, the reason for his departure has not been said, but we did hear coming out of the May 24th tapings that he approved the finish in the Titus O'Neil, Darren Young versus Yoshi Tatsu and Ezekiel Jackson match, where there was a double team move where Tatsu landed nearly on his head and that there was a lot of heat on him for it. Since his release stemmed from something at that specific show, that was probably it. Yoshi Tatsu seemingly confirmed this news too, responding to a fan on Twitter saying that Japanese and United States cultures have different reactions to dangerous moves. But that wasn't all, since the Twitter egg hatched into a beautiful blue bird. Goldust has been on the end of plenty of social media heat from WWE. Although wrestlers and staff are free to run their own accounts, WWE takes the actions of its employees on social media incredibly seriously, as it can seriously reflect on the company as well as the wrestlers themselves. Goldie had an unfortunate tendency to block everyone and anyone that irked him, something that reportedly put him in hot water with those at the top of the company. His Twitter account has been shut down several times by WWE for consistently unprofessional behaviour, notably blocking people who like sports he doesn't, including football, which he claims is just for girls. Goldust would often kick off his day by announcing he was going on a banning spree, and reportedly took a lot of joy in insulting fans. It was widely believed at the time that WWE had been looking for an excuse to get rid of Goldust for some time due to his bad behaviour on the web, and then the botched spot was kind of the golden chance that WWE had been looking for. Fortunately though, they moved his profile off the alumni page back onto the main roster because Goldust came back in 2013, less than a year later at the Royal Rumble, where he eliminated his half-brother Cody Rhodes before going on to form a tag team later that year where they captured the tag titles off of the Shield of all people, so it's not all bad. We've got other Backstage Expose videos here on WrestleTalk, so click the video or playlist on screen right now for more awesome wrestling content. I've been El Fakador Laurie Blake, and that was wrestling.